I really can recommend, if somebody wants to reveal the truth about something, or wants to rectify lies that have been told about her or him, then I really can recommend John to handle that, and get it over with.
Yeah. It's innate in who I am, Fred. Welcome to the first episode that I'm doing here with the new, call it a show if you like for now, the Expos. And with my first interview then, I've got Carmen here, and she's going to be telling us about the experience that she had arriving at the Mallorca Airport back from, where was it again, sorry?
From Gatwick.
From Gatwick, arriving into Mallorca, Spain, one day before they mandated the vaccines from the UK into Spain. So basically, just a quick short story of what we're going to be talking about. Basically, Carmen arrived at the airport. She had everything that she needed, her test, a locator form for Spain, etc. And then what she found basically is she had her passport taken off her and taken into a room, and they were threatening to vaccinate her. So we're going to talk about that today, and Carmen was going to tell her story. So, Carmen, why don't we just start? How before you got on a flight to Mallorca, what was the experience? What did you have to do, and how did you feel about your travel coming to Mallorca before you arrived?
When I got to Gatwick, it was all plain sailing. I put my suitcase in. I had to show all my papers, and they gave me a fit to fly piece of paper to show before I board. It all went smoothly. We landed at Palma. All was great. I went through security, all fine. Then we was walking towards where they do the locator.
So this is when so basically you've done your test.
Yep.
You've got your locator form. You've boarded the plane.
Yep.
You've arrived in Mallorca Airport.
Yes.
And then what happened?
We went through security. That was all fine. I showed them, they wanted to see if I was a Spanish resident, so I showed them my card. And then we I was walking towards getting my suitcase. As we was going further, before the suitcase, there was like loads of white coats, and I thought, oh, this is where they must scan our locator, Spanish one. So they called me over to scan it, and they was having a bit of trouble, but eventually they scanned it. And then this lady stood in front of me with a white coat and said, I need to see your ID. So she wanted my passport. And I thought, well, I'll give it my residence to show residence. I looked round, there was another lady. She had got another lady before me. So she took us both. She opened this white door.
This other lady, she's another passenger, yeah?
Passenger, yeah, which I didn't know her.
Okay.
So we both walked through, she took us through this white door, and she said, take a seat. Very abrupt. She was very abrupt. And
what do you mean?
She was very, angry, sort of go and take a seat. And me and this lady looked at each other and we said, why are we here? So I said, why are we here? She said, you're going to be vaccinated today, very abruptly. And
so just to recap then, so basically you've went to the border control, you've gave your passport to the police, is that
yes.
Right? And then you've passed through the police, you've reached another area where you found...
We walked for about 5 minutes before we reached this area.
So you found another health security area basically, full of white coats. They have demanded to see your passport as well, which I would argue they don't really have a right to take that, to be honest. They're just too early, Then they have said to you to come with them.
Yep.
How did you feel at that point?
I just felt like what's going on? Like, I was feeling nervous. What's going on? I thought maybe, because they do take temperature, maybe my temperature was a bit high because I did walk quite fast, and maybe they want to retake my temperature. So we went with her, obviously.
Okay. So then you went into this room.
Yeah, and it was...
And you were there for around 5 minutes, basically, and she's told you to sit down very aggressively.
Yeah.
You felt fearful at that
I
point.
felt fearful, like, well, why we... You know, like doctor surgery, that's how I can explain it.
Mm-hmm.
It was rows and rows of chairs, and when she just told sit down, we said, but why? You know, why are we here? You're going to be vaccinated today. But we said, no, I don't think so. And she said, yes, it's the law. It's the Spanish law. You are going to be vaccinated, so sit down. So we saw, me and the girl both looked at each other, thought, no. So the girl grabbed her hand. She took her passport, and I quickly took my ID. And we literally, both of us, ran out of that room and legged it down. We sort of ran. And they were shouting, call security, call the police. They all spoke good English. I have to put that in. It's not something that we misunderstood. They all spoke good English. So we was running, they were all running after us and threatening me with fines, threatening that we're going to be arrested, but it still didn't stop us from running. It was just so, my adrenaline was just run
Yes, really.
Far away from them as possible. I felt like I was going to be poisoned.
So when you've got in this room, you mentioned that you saw other people sitting there
Yes,
as well.
yes, there was.
Did you know? Was there any kind of reaction in them, or
No, they had their
just
back
sat
to
there
us. They
and-
just was. As we walked in, they had their back to us, but they were all scattered. They were scattered. They weren't all sitting in one place.
Yeah.
So
Dividing them as well, even in
Yeah.
even in the room. Okay, so you've grabbed your passport and you're running for your life through there.
yes, and now all I was,
And have you got an idea of how many of these kind of white coats were sort of chasing you down?
there was about
down-
5 of them chasing us.
For how long did that last?
It must have lasted about 5 minutes, 5 maybe more. I don't know. All I was thinking about is run. And the girl that was with me was already caught by the police by then and the Guardia Civil. So I obviously sort of ran towards her to
Yep.
sort of help her out that what is happening. By then they had caught up and they were telling the police that we ran away from them. And
So they were threatening you with fines. You've met the woman who's now with the Guardia Civil and the police, and the white coats have chased up with you as well.
yeah, they caught
So
up.
what's happened at this point then? We have got the other lady that was with you, yourself, the Guardia Civil, the police locale, and the white coats that have chased you. Now you're all together. Tell me what happened at that point.
Well, the Guardia Civil, first thing he did was wanted ID because we're breaching security running through the airport. So he wanted to check us out. That was his first thing. And he said, it's not me you've got to talk to, it's the policeman. I'm going to go and check you out. So he went and we were speaking to the policeman. And he didn't know what to do. They were very nice, but he didn't know what was happening. He was in shock as much as we was. Because he's got all these white coats there and he's got us shouting at him at the same time. And he's sort of like, what's going on? And then the woman, one of the white coats said, I want to do a PCR test on you. And we both refused. We said no. We got on that plane with a negative test that's less than 48 hours. I'm not going to do a PCR test. Oh, it's free. The government is paying for it. I said, well, I paid for mine in England and it's done by the proper NHS. You know, it's not something I did myself. They did it all.
And did they at any point mention that actually they wanted to vaccinate you?
No, they didn't mention it at all.
So they actually changed the story.
Changed the story
in
to
front of the
PCR.
police.
To PCR, yeah.
So take note of that there, right? They've caught up with the police, chasing them, telling them they have to get a vaccine. Then when they meet the police, who are gobsmacked themselves, don't know what to do, which would suggest that this is probably the first time this has happened. Now they've changed the story and they want to do a PCR test.
Yes.
Now, let's remember this is the 30th of November, and the 1st of December, UK nationals coming to Spain are mandated to have a vaccine. Which would suggest that they can't even potentially get on a flight because they have to show the papers before they get on the flight. So this is potentially a transition phase there, and the police have never seen this before and they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So did you explain then to the police at that point that actually what they were trying to do was to vaccinate you?
Yes. I did say to the police, I I don't give consent to be vaccinated. I said, we've checked the Spanish online to see what we needed to do to come to Mallorca, because we heard there was going to be changes, but it still stayed the same. All we needed was a test, make sure we do the Spanish locator, and with Spanish residents. We did exactly that. And I said to the policeman, you told me where on there it says that we have to be vaccinated today. If there is, I would go to my doctor and get vaccinated. There's no way I would let them idiots vaccinate me. They don't know nothing about me. They don't know nothing about my health. And he didn't know what to say. He couldn't even speak, the policeman. He just didn't know what to say.
Yep.
And I said, you have to protect us from these people.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, by then, he sent them away.
Okay. So now, the white coats have been sent away by the police. They've done their job.
Yeah.
They've been protecting you then, basically. They've told them to go away. And the Guardia Civil left you in the hands of the police.
Yeah, but then, when they went, the Guardia Civil came back, because he obviously had our ID. Mm-hmm. And he gave us ID back. He goes, yeah, you're clear from me. It's up to the policeman. And he just looked at us and just said, go home, ladies.
Okay.
Go. And we was going to go out. By then, we was just about to get out of the airport, and we realised we had our suitcases. So then we had to go back to that horrible place again and try and find our suitcase. We eventually did. And by then, as I looked over, where we were standing with the police, there were more police being added on.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder what was going on between them there. They were trying to figure out what was happening.
Probably figuring out, yeah. There must have been, well, where there was 2, there was at least 5 by the time we got our suitcase and left. Mm-hmm. And we were so scared we didn't even give eye contact. We just got our suitcase and just gone.
Okay. So now you've got out of the airport. How did you feel at that moment?
I was shaking from head to toe, I'll be honest. I was. First, I tried to ring my husband, and he said, oh, I'll be there. He said, I missed my exit, and I'll be there, as quick as I can. And then I'll rang my daughter up.
And just to put it into context, how did your husband actually miss the exit in the first place for the motorway? Because he was coming to the airport. Because
while I was speaking to the policeman, I rang. The first thing I wanted to hear was my husband's voice. So I sort of FaceTimed him, and I said, oh my God, they tried to vaccinate me. And he said, what? And I said, look, I've got to go because I'm talking to the police. I'll call you back. Mm-hmm. Just in case. I thought he was waiting outside, to be honest. I didn't realise he was like coming to pick me up. So when I actually called him, he mixed the exit to the airport.
So your husband's in shock as well. He's missed the exit, and he's taken about 40 minutes to come back round and find you again. And at some point, you phoned your daughter as well.
I thought, well, when I was waiting for him, first thing that went on my mind when he was saying, I need to speak to someone, so I rang my daughter. And she said, Mum, what's wrong? And I said, oh my God, they tried to vaccinate me. But the words just weren't coming out how I wanted to. It was like emotional words, because I was still shaking from head to toe. I was literally sitting on the floor. They've got like a little edge near where the lifts are. Mm-hmm. And I just sat there and said, I can't believe they tried to vaccinate me against my will.
Mm-hmm. And then when your husband arrived and you explained it to him, what did he do?
When my husband came, he said, did they vaccinate you? Are you all right? And I said, yeah, no, they didn't vaccinate. I'm all right. I said, can we just get to the car and I will explain to you what happened? Because by then I was still shaking. My legs were like jelly. Mm-hmm. And I just got in the car all the way home and I explained what had happened. He was fuming. He was really angry.
So, quite an ordeal to go through. For me, I know it would have taken me some time to calm down, but how did you feel, when you got back home?
When I got back home, my daughter had got there before me, and she was talking to me like normal, and I couldn't concentrate, because I had a lot of her stuff in my suitcase, which I was trying to give to her, but it was, it's like I wasn't there. And at the end, I said to my daughter, I'm sorry, I've got to go. I just literally got in my car and went for a drive just to see if I could clear my head of what's actually happened to me, because I couldn't register it. Mm-hmm. It was just going round and round in my head. Yeah.
I would call it psychological abuse, that when you've not done anything wrong, you're not a criminal or anything, you've been through a whole ordeal there. So what do you feel then is going to be the next step?
I'd like to take this further, not to help other people, to not go through the ordeal that I went through, or even
To
just
help other people,
even just to prepare them that if they do land in Mallorca, expect this.
Yeah.
Or some sort of don't. To me it was a shock. I wish someone had warned me, and then I would have been not so bad.
Yeah.
But I want to help other people. That's just, I'm a very private person, but I've come out today.
Yeah.
I put everything aside to help other people.
Good for you. And you spoke to a lawyer today as well. What was she saying?
Yes. He thinks it was some sort of like kidnapping, sort of against my will.
Yeah. So because they've taken you, they've I don't know the word for it, but basically they've coerced you to come with you by taking your passport off you.
Yeah.
You don't have a right to do that.
Yeah.
But you've given them the passport and they've told you to come with them, so they're kind of stringing you along there, they're taking you against your will, basically. They've got a way of doing that. And what was the other thing that you mentioned? There was another charge, bodily integrity.
Yeah.
So basically the potential charge there for kidnapping of a kind and trying to compromise your bodily integrity. And I would add, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I can't say the legal stance, but I would say there's definitely some argument there for psychological abuse, because, I mean, how do you feel now about going back to an airport to fly again?
I don't know if I ever would, but not at this moment, no. It took me 2 days to recover, literally 2 days.
Yeah.
And I'm still can't believe that it actually happened. I can't believe Mallorca, I always thought I was safe. It's my home now, and I always thought, Mallorca's going to be all right. Once I left England, I thought I was going to be safe once I got to Mallorca. But,
and this will be right across the board in Spain. So this is just one isolated situation on one particular day and one particular hour. There's many hours of the day and there's many airports across Spain, and this is what's going on. Now, I done a follow-up video after the sort of live video that I did about Carmen, because I wanted to go see it for myself. I went to the airport to see if this was going on, but by this point we're now on the 1st of December, where it's mandated to be vaccinated before you come into Spain. So everyone on that flight that I checked from Manchester were being checked if they'd had the vaccine before they actually got on the flight, so the chances were they weren't even getting on the flight. But I've been hearing rumours that there are been people on the 1st of December that was going through the same experience that Carmen was going through. I got some reports as well about a 12-year-old who came in today, which was it 2nd December, 1st of December today? Third. And he was given 3 PCR tests, a 12-year-old boy coming into Mallorca today. So this is by no means an isolated case. I don't know what else is going on around Spain and Mallorca right now, but this is basically a warning video that Carmen she's putting a word out there so that people can be informed about this, at least, and it's a very noble thing to do, and I appreciate you taking the time to tell the world about this.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So keep in touch, let me know how you get on with the lawyer, and are you going to go through with a denuncia?
I'm going to think about it for a day or two, and
Still calming down even now?
I just need to calm down a bit more. I'm still I haven't gone back to normal, to be honest. I'm still feeling a bit agitated about what's going on, and a lot of people have been contacting me, saying, about England. Some reporters would like my story, and it's just going so fast, and I don't know where I'm coming or going at the moment. I just need to put it aside for a little bit and just concentrate on myself and get myself back.
Well, thanks for doing what you're doing. I really appreciate that, and really respect you for doing that. And I'm sure there'll be lots of people that are watching that will learn something from that. They can prepare themselves mentally, for arriving at any country.
All I say is, if any white coat approaches you, do not give them your ID.
Yeah, don't give them your passport. Don't go with them.
No, don't go with them.
You've got a right to refuse. And what I would add as well is only a slave has no right to refuse. So unless you're a slave and you don't own your body, like they did back in the day, if you own your own body and it belongs to you, then you have a right to refuse. It's a universal human right. So be aware of it. Thanks for doing this. and stay tuned with any future videos that I'm going to do. I'm going to be looking for other people that are going through the same kind of scenarios, so that we can keep up to date on what's going on in Spain for UK nationals coming from UK. Thanks for your time, Carmen, and I hope everything works out for you.
Thank you.
Yes.